Well, we've heard a lot today about our own economy, but what about shaping up over the next few years? What's in store for Greece over the next few days, never mind years? The Greek Prime Minister, Alexis Tsipras, has been speaking in Strasbourg today. He told the European Parliament that detailed proposals are now being drawn up to resolve the country's debt crisis. Well, Greece has been given until Sunday to resolve the crisis over its debt. Mr. Tsipras said he was confident now that his government could do it. While calling for a socially just and economically viable solution, he said none of the bailout money so far had helped ordinary Greeks at all.
The monies which have been afforded to Greece, which have been given to Greece, never got down, never trickled down to the Greek people. This is money which was given in order to save the Greek and European banks, but they never trickled down to the ordinary Greek man and woman.
As you can imagine, not all in attendance would agree. At the European Parliament this morning was the UKIP leader, Nigel Farage. He gave the Greek Prime Minister this advice.
You cannot have your cake and eat it. They will give you no more, these people. They can't afford to. If they give you more, they'll have to give other Eurozone members more. So your moment has come. And frankly, if you've got the courage, you should lead the Greek people out of the Eurozone with your head held high. Get back your democracy. Get back control of your country. Give your people the leadership and the hope that they crave. Yes, it'll be tough for the first few months, but with a devalued currency and with friends of Greece all over the world, you will recover.
Well, listening to that, in attendance also at that meeting was the Conservative MEP for the North West, Sajjad Karim. He joins us live on the show from Strasbourg. Sajjad, if I can ask you first, what was the atmosphere like this morning when the Greek Prime Minister spoke, and Nigel Farage?
Well, good evening, Gary. It was pure theatricals, a very charged atmosphere. Everybody was, of course, very welcoming to the Greek Prime Minister, Alexis Tsipras. It was very interesting to see the way in which he approached the whole debate and the way in which he presented it. Of course, Nigel Farage's input was limited merely to about a minute and a half, because that's the way the procedures work here. But in reality, the real show today, from what I could see, was taken by former Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who acts now as presidency in council, who really was the statesman who seized the day today.
Is it fair to say that all this ultimately will boil down to the EU not really working for Greece? Is that where we're at?
No, not at all. The situation as it is this, that you still have a majority of people within Greece that want to remain members of the European Union. They want to remain within the Eurozone. You have a particular difficulty, and I know a lot of it comes across as this is the euro currency that has failed. It isn't. This is actually far too much debt that has mounted up in one particular country's national economy. And of course, that economy happens to be within the Eurozone. So you have an issue now as to what happens with that debt, particularly when there isn't sufficient growth. Now, some of the arguments that are being presented are that if Greece was not within the Eurozone, they could, of course, devalue their own currency and build up through exports. But the point that is being missed is this, that you cannot recover, whether you are within the Eurozone or outside of the Eurozone, unless you have growth. And that growth is only going to come if you have a dynamic and fair economy, which Greece does not have at this moment in time.
Can I ask you, Sajjad,
unless and until they're willing to address the fundamentals, then whether they are in the Eurozone or outside the Eurozone, actually it's not going to make that much difference.
To us, without being there and the intricacies of it, it's like, it's like going to see the headmaster and pull your socks up, lad, or otherwise you're not in the club, that kind of thing. But there'll be a good number of your constituents in the North West who are going to go on holiday to Greece, of course, over the next couple of months. What's your advice to them? Go and enjoy the holiday or what?
Well, it's a very concerning situation, and it's very difficult to give advice at this moment in time because as I sit speaking to you, I do not know for certain whether the banks will reopen at some stage in the near future, whether the economy is going to slowly grind to a halt, whether shops are going to start closing at a much speedier rate than they currently are doing. whether there's going to be food still available on the streets, whether you're going to still be able to receive medical treatment should you urgently need it, and indeed the thought of tourists carrying around substantial amounts of money in cash in very difficult circumstances in a country is not the sort of advice you want to be giving out to people. But at this moment in time, if somebody is minded to go to Greece, then really they have no choice
no alternative,
but to make sure that they go there with adequate cash reserves on them.
Sajjad Karim, thank you very much for joining us, the Conservative MEP for the North West, joining us live from Strasbourg tonight.